Hey guys, it's Miss Fury and welcome to Unit 9, Note 6. We are going to look at dividing a polynomial by a monomial today. So, our lesson objective is I can simplify rational expressions and I can divide polynomials by monomials. Here are the steps we're going to take when we are dividing polynomials by monomials. So step number 1, we want to split the polynomial so that each term is divided by the monomial. So a polynomial, remember, has different terms or different pieces to it. We want to take each piece and divide it by the monomial in the denominator. So we're going to split that up first. Step number 2 then is we want to divide the coefficients. Remember, that is just saying that we want to go ahead and we want to take out a common factor or simplify. So take out a common factor or simplify. Step 3 then, we want to go ahead and when we simplify, we're going to subtract the exponents because we're dividing. Remember, when we divide, we subtract. The last step then is going to be writing our new polynomial out. So let's look at this first example and look at those steps. So I have this whole polynomial, 6x to the 4th minus 12x to the 3rd, divided by this monomial, this one term, x. So here's what I need to do for this. I have two terms on top. I have this one and I have this one. So they both need to be divided by this x term down here. So I'm going to split it up first. I'm going to do 6x to the 4th divided by x minus, because it's a minus term there, 12x to the 3rd divided by x. Now we can simplify each piece separately. So remember, this is like saying I have a 1x to the 1. So I can always put an imaginary 1s there if there isn't anything there. So I can do 6 divided by 1, which is just going to give me 6. And then x to the 4th divided by x to the 1. When we divide, we subtract those powers. So I'm going to get x to the 3rd. Minus 12 divided by 1 is still 12. X to the 3rd divided by x, I subtract those powers. That's an imaginary 1. So I'm going to get x squared. I don't have any more division, so that's going to be my final answer. Number 4 then, same idea. I have two terms on top, and I need to divide each of those, split it up and divide each of those by the monomial on the bottom. So I'm going to have 16x to the 5th divided by 2x plus, because this time it's a plus sign, 2x squared divided by 2x. So I'm going to do 16 divided by 2, which is going to give me 8. X to the 5th divided by x to the 1 is going to give me x to the 4. I have that plus sign. 2 divided by 2 is 1. X squared divided by x is just 1x left. And again, that's my final answer, and I'm done. So let's go ahead and look at number 5 here. I now have 3 terms on the top. I have this term, I have this term, and I have this term. So we have to divide each of those by the 6a on the bottom. So I'm going to split it up. I have 12a to the 5th divided by 6a minus 3a squared divided by 6a plus 42a divided by 6a. So we're going to simplify each of these separately. So 12 divided by 6 is going to give me 2. A to the 5th divided by a gives me a to the 4th because we subtract those powers. Minus, if I do 3 divided by 6 in my calculator, I'm going to get a decimal, and I don't want decimals. So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. So I'm going to ask myself, what goes into 3 and 6 that I can take out of both? Well, 3 can be divided by 3, which will make that a 1, and 3 can be divided by 3, which is going to make that a 2. So I'm actually going to end up with 1 on top and 2 on the bottom. And now I have my a squared divided by a. I would have 1a left. Remember, the bigger power is on top, so that the a would be on top. Plus 42 divided by 6 is going to give me 7. A divided by a, those cancel out. I don't have any left there. So this is my final answer, and I'm done. Go ahead and pause the video and try number 6 on your own, and then come back here and check your answer. So when I did this work, I got 3x to the 3rd minus 7x squared plus 4. If you got anything different, please come chat with me before moving on with the rest of the video. Number 7 here looks very, very similar. I have 3 pieces on top, so I have to divide each of those terms by the monomial on the bottom. So I'm going to get 2x to the 3rd divided by 6x plus 6x squared divided by 6x plus 42x divided by 6x. So simplify each of those. If I do 2 divided by 6, that's going to give me a decimal. So again, I need to try to simplify that by dividing a number out. I know a 2 goes into both. So 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 6 3 times. So the fraction that I'm actually going to have is going to be 1 over 3. Now I have x to the third divided by x. That's going to give me an x squared, and it's going to be on top because the bigger number of them is on top. Plus 6 divided by 6 is going to give me 1. X squared divided by x, subtract those powers, I'm going to have 1 left. 42 divided by 6 is going to give me 7. X divided by x, those cancel out, so I don't have any left. So this is my final answer, and I'm good. Last example here, first thing we're going to do is split it up. Sorry, this isn't our last example here. Example number 8, go ahead and split it up. So I have 10a squared over 2a plus 6a over 2a plus 12 over 2a. So we're going to go ahead and simplify. 10 divided by 2 is 5. A squared divided by a, we subtract those powers, we get a. Plus 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3. A divided by a, those are going to cancel out. Now I have 12 divided by 2, which is going to give me 6. But I don't have an a on the top, I only have one on the bottom, so that a has to stay on the bottom there. We can't start moving it around, we still have to show it's on the bottom. So these are going to be our last two examples, number 9 and number 10. I want you to pause the video, try both 9 and 10 on your own, and then come back here and check them before moving on to the practice. So these are the two answers I got when I went through and I simplified. Remember, you need to make sure that you tell me that something is on the bottom of a fraction if it's still left on the bottom of the fraction. Don't start just moving it up to the top. So for this one, make sure that you had 7 over 5, and 5 is still on the bottom of that fraction. If you have any questions about this, come chat with me before moving on for the practice of the day.